right, and welcome to the TSG Multimedia video podcast for January 1st, 2014. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
This is John sitting with
Dan,
as always, and we're looking at an N-scale model that was done right.
Yeah, this is an N-scale MP36 that was done by Caddo. It's part of their Kobo Shop's custom locomotive line. I guess it's not off their regular factory. They do make the MP36, I think, in Metro colors, and maybe I think maybe Virginia Rail Express or something like that. But this is the first time they've done Caltrain, and they did it as a Kobo engine. But they did a good job with it. It looks pretty much like a Caltrain MP36.
Yeah, the colors are right, too.
Yeah.
As opposed to the one we were talking about recently, that was the HO scale one.
Yeah.
Who made that one?
That was made by True Line Trains. I actually I took some pictures of it before I sent it back because it was essentially where this model is gray, which is correct. That model was painted silver, which is not correct. And since that's a really hard thing to fix without repainting the entire engine, and I really didn't want to do that, especially on a model that was pretty expensive to begin with, I just decided to return it. Not so with the N-scale version, which I like a lot because it actually looks right.
Yeah.
So, and actually in other respects, it's closer to, like the fuel tank in the N-scale model is actually in the right place. And, even though the details are smaller and everything, they're actually more correct in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I like the Caddo model.
Of course. Now, yeah. And that's a different coach, though, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's an Athearn Bombardier Coach. I actually showed these, I think, on our last video podcast when we were filming from the Caltrain platform.
Right, briefly.
Yeah. So this is only one here, but there would be Athearn does offer 5 of them in different numbers. There's one 3-car set plus 2 loose cars, and basically 4 coaches and a cab car, which is exactly what you would see on a typical bullet train.
Mm-hmm.
Consist would be one MP36, 4 coaches, and then a cab car.
Right.
And that's pretty much how they run all the time. So you can now model the whole train, which is pretty cool. Now, I did notice that the gray paint on the Athearn coach is a little bit darker than the paint that Caddo used, but it's not a horrible mismatch. So I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's within the realm of acceptability. Certainly,
I think most people who saw this running somewhere would just be like, "Oh, neat, a Caltrain," because they've never been out before.
Right.
Rather than, "Oh, the color's wrong. No. Different gray." No,
I mean,
but I can see that you're talking about, because this is definitely lighter than this one over here.
And that's probably just a matter of one company was looking at a reference photo that was taken in brighter sunlight than the other one or something.
Yeah.
Because these do actually look sometimes almost white when they're in a really bright sun.
Yeah.
So that's minor.
It's a number of years later too, because the coaches came out a number of years ago, and I'll bet you anything they've probably been bleached by the sun over time too. The real ones.
They may have, yeah.
Yeah. So if the locomotives have been bleached by the sun, and this model came out 4 years later, it might look. I'm not saying that the model's accurate that way. I'm just saying that it might have looked different,
That's true, yeah.
In the reference photos that they used.
Yeah, it's possible.
So, but they look great. I think it's good.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll take the. Now, one thing I noticed is that the Caddo comes with some kind of Caddo coupler.
Yeah.
And the Athearn comes with its own coupler, and they don't hook together very well.
That's an easy fix, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll probably have to figure out how to put Microtrain's couplers on at least the engine. And I don't know how well the Athearn couplers look like they might mate with the Microtrains, but I haven't really tried them yet. And there's a few little things like the I noticed the snow plow is a little small. Now, that does bring up a curious thing. Is I never could figure out why Caltrain engines have snow plows at all, because, I mean, it snows here, maybe every 25 or 30 years?
And never enough that you would need a plow.
I know, it snows, it maybe is enough to dust the ground if it does ever snow, and it lasts maybe half a day until, the sun burns it off.
Doesn't even last that long.
Yeah, I know.
I remember about 15 years ago it snowed in my backyard, and by the time I went outside to take a picture, it was already melted.
Yeah.
So
it's I don't know why they do that, but anyway, I'll take the coach away and I can run the engine a little bit.
Oh, it's quiet, yeah.
It's very quiet. It runs very well, and the red lights come on when it goes backwards.
We wouldn't see that, but
oh, okay. And the headlight comes on when it goes forwards. Unfortunately, I don't have a decoder in it, or you could see this better. Now, one thing I did notice is that the rear headlight doesn't come on at all.
Oh.
But if you had it coupled to a train, that's actually not a big deal, and it's actually kind of desirable, because they probably wouldn't have the rear light on if it's just facing a doorway, in a cabin.
I've never seen a rear light on any Caltrain train on a locomotive.
But for the engine, if the engine was moving by itself, it probably would have the light on. But anyway, I don't know. I haven't taken this thing apart yet, so I don't know if there's a light in there or not. Or, I mean, I'm sure if you put DCC in it, putting a light would be not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But the front lights do work, and it's a pretty nice little engine. As you could hear, it runs very quietly. A typical Cato. So I was very happy with it. Not sending this one back. So now I've got something for the HO scale people. This is an Exact Rail Bethlehem Hopper. It's one of their new releases, and I have to say this is one of the nicest models I've ever seen.
Wow. That's saying a lot, too.
Yeah. I have done absolutely nothing to this car. All of the details that are on it came out of the box. It's got KD58s on it. It's got like a photo-etched brake platform. It's got uncoupling levers. It's got train line air hoses. The grab irons are all very delicate and freestanding. It's got internal bracing. It's just amazing. I mean, even some of the other Exact Rails models that I have aren't quite this detailed. So it's a pretty nice model. They did a really good job. And this is actually an accurate model of the Rio Grande Hoppers. I know a lot of modelers have been really wanting these. I looked at some photographs, and I don't have any prototype dimensions or anything available to me. Don't have that reference material, but as far as I could tell just looking at photographs, it looks pretty darn accurate.
Yeah.
So,
maybe that's the way things are going. Maybe it's going to get stuff might be a little more expensive, because I'm sure it takes more labor to put that stuff on, but out of the box, so you don't have to take 2 hours to fix something up that doesn't come with all that stuff.
Right.
They're putting the aftermarket parts guys out of business.
Yeah. But I'll show you. This has, you can see this. There's like separate internal braces here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell if that's showing up. Oh, there you go. That's
better?
Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it's got detail on the bottom, the gates and everything.
Yeah, look at that. Because they really don't have to have that stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, a hopper is a car you can see a lot of things, but now they are a little bit light, like all hoppers tend to be, because there really isn't much place to put weight in them. But of course, you can put a load. And actually, when you buy one of these, they only sell them direct from Exact Rail, as far as I'm aware. And when you buy one, you also get your choice of 2 different kinds of loads. And this is what they call the heaped load, and it just kind of fits in there like that.
Yeah, look at that.
They also have a flood loader load, which is more smooth on the top. But they did a pretty good job with the loads too. So if you pick a car, when you buy a car, you can pick a load for it. You can pick either the flood loader type or the heaped type.
And then that would be very easy to conceal your weight under that if you want to.
Right, if you wanted to, yeah. So it's I know some people might even want to do something clever, like put a magnet under the, glue a magnet under the load, so that if you had another magnet, you could pull it out and put it back in without touching it. You know what I mean, or without touching the car.
Oh,
like you could leave the car on the track and just lift the load out. But
I see what you're saying, right?
yeah, for comparison, this is one of the older Walthers models, and as you can see, there isn't much comparison. It's, I mean, the Walthers car was good for its time, but it doesn't really compare to the new one.
Yeah, look at the steps on that thing. They're totally clunky.
Yeah, it's very crude in comparison.
Yeah.
So I am probably going to send the Walthers cars that I have to eBay. And just get rid of them. I know some people are talking about running them together.
That wouldn't look right.
Yeah, I'd rather have more of the exact rail cars myself.
I'm looking from this angle, and I didn't notice this before, but there is some kind of a reservoir, and it even has little tubes sticking out of it. Like the brake?
The brake system.
Is it a brake?
Yeah, it's probably the brake reservoir, the air reservoir for the brake
system. Look at that thing. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but there are little pipes coming out of that round brake reservoir.
I mean, I don't see anything to do to this car except maybe a little weathering.
Yeah, weathering for sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
But, I mean, I would not add anything. What would I do to it? There's,
what's funny about it to me is that every time we've done some kind of a detailing video, whether it be for the podcast or for an actual video that we put out, I always think that, why don't they just make it this way? Well, here it is. Someone actually made one this way.
Yeah, they did a really good job with this car. So I was very impressed. So my hat's off to Exact Rail for doing a nice job in this model.
And this is not a paid commercial for, what is it?
No, we get nothing for this. Yeah. In fact, I just sent them money because I actually bought more than one of these.
Well, hey, so if anyone is watching from Exact Rail, maybe you could send Dan a couple cars to review,
Yeah, or if someone wants to go buy stuff from our site to help support my train habit.
There you go. Well, and it is a nice new website, very easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Everything's probably still on sale. I know we had it on sale for the holidays. But anyway, all right. So that's great. Someone's finally making a model the way they're supposed to look.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So I guess that'll do it for this video podcast. Be sure to catch our audio podcast on the 15th, and then our next video podcast will be out on February 1st. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.